and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a little show and tell / maybe some triggers with some of my childhood things. I've been going through boxes that are still here, that have been here for like 2 decades, of my things in it, and trying to decide what I want to keep and what I want to throw out. And I have a couple of items that I would really like to take with me. I don't think I'll be able to in this trip because I might need to come with an empty suitcase for some of them. But I thought I would show you a couple of things from my childhood that I'm kind of attached to. So the first thing is this little book, and it's called a poetry album. But it doesn't actually have poems in it. We used to hand it out in school to our friends and teachers, and they would make a drawing in it. So if you look, there's like drawings. This one was made by a teacher. This one was made by my mom, actually. That was my brother, who was actually really good at drawing. I think he did it on purpose. That was my dad's. And then there's just like drawings from like classmates and stuff like that. This was drawn in March 1990, so I would have been 7. A lot of these were from when I was 7 or 8, which is like so long ago. And then I particularly love these last two because this is from my grandpa. And this is from my grandma, and they both are not with me anymore. But I love that I found this because it allows me to just read what they wrote and see their texts and stuff like that. I honestly don't remember most of these kids. There are some names that I'm like, oh, I know who that is, but then there are a lot of names that I have no idea who they were anymore. Yeah. I honestly would have thrown it out if it had been just like school kids, but the fact that my parents drew in it and my brother and that my grandparents drew in it makes me want to keep it. So it's my little poetry album. And then I also found a book from my childhood. It's called Niki Nickel, and it was written by my favorite youth author in Belgium. I used to read his books a lot in school. They were usually on our reading list, and I would go to the library and get them. But I really wanted to own a book of his when I was little. so one Christmas, I think maybe my brother or my parents on behalf of my brother bought this book for me. I hadn't read this one yet at that time, and I really love it. And yeah, it's kind of become like my staple book since then, because it was the first book I think I owned as a person. And so I really love it. I didn't know if we still had it. For some reason, I always thought I took it with me to Ireland, but I couldn't find it anywhere over there. I remember in my favorite books video, I wanted to show this, but I didn't have it. And it wasn't until I went through these boxes here that I found it. I had no idea it was still in one of them. So yeah. It's got 138 pages, which is big enough for a child's book, but the letters are pretty big, if you can see that. And each chapter is like 2 or 3 pages, so it's very easy to stop. Then one other thing that I have, and I bought this probably when I was maybe 16 or 17, and it is a little Central Perk sugar canister. It doesn't really work anymore because the flappy thing that you're supposed to open to pour it out, well, actually no, it probably does if you use it like this. I don't know, it doesn't stay up on its own. It's just like it keeps closing, but you can twist it open. Yeah, I used to be like obsessed with Friends. I watched it. We used to have them on video, and I would watch it every morning before I went to school, and every evening before I went to bed. I would watch it Saturday morning to Sunday evening. Like, I just, for years, like, I was obsessed, and I still to this day know every line. Like, I can mute the TV and just narrate every line. But back then, merchandise of anything really was not that available. Now you can go to the NBC store in New York and still buy loads of Friends merchandise, Amazon, like any website really you can think of. But back then, it was really only eBay. So I bought this on eBay. I also bought a Central Perk cookie jar, but it arrived broken, so I ended up throwing it out. Well, my parents ended up throwing it out. This is still in pretty good shape, though. It has the little Warner Brothers logo on it, or trademark, so it might actually be an official piece of merchandise. I don't know. But I think I'm definitely taking that with me to Ireland. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it. I'll probably have to like really clean it out. Central Perk sugar container. And then I have 3 porcelain dolls. 1, 2, and 3. Which I also didn't know I still had. I thought maybe they got rid of them. I'll start with them in order from when I got them. So this one is like the oldest by far. Her name is Catherine. Well, Catherine in Dutch, but I am not entirely sure where I got her from. I got her, I think, from a family member. She was sitting in someone else's house for a really long time, and as a child I would always like swoon over her. And then I eventually got her, but I know that it wasn't like me begging for it. I think it was for like a birthday or a communion or like a special occasion that they gave it to me, and I'm inclined to say that it was either my grandmother or my godmother, but I am not 100% sure who she belonged to. But she was the first one I got from a family member. She's pretty, like her dress doesn't stick anymore in the back. By the way, I'm really sorry if you can hear drilling, but they've been drilling for 3 days straight, and I haven't been able to record yet, and now they seem to be taking a break, so I thought I'm just gonna sit down and record, but they're doing it again. I'll try to edit it out, but I doubt that I can, so I'm really sorry. It's like pissing me off. Not just for recording, but it's also extremely unnerving when you have to work, because it's an entire day non-stop that they're drilling. It's frustrating. Anyway, yeah, her hair's pretty like dry and messed up. She's old, like she is an old dolly, but I kind of love her. Then this was the next doll I got. I named her Astrid. I don't know why. It had a reason at the time, but I don't really remember what that was. And I think she's gorgeous. I really do. With the dark hair and even the dress. But I don't completely remember where I got her. I think, because that was the case with the third one, I think my dad brought her for me from a business trip. My dad went on like 2 business trips his entire career, and each time he brought back one of these for me. I'm inclined to say she came from Germany, though I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, Astrid. You can take the hat off, it keeps falling off anyway. I know some people think porcelain dolls are really creepy, but I think she's super cute. And then the last one I have is from a business trip my dad took to Sweden. And I named her Dagmar, because I knew a girl named Dagmar at the time, and she's Nordic, so. This one has been a little bit like she's the youngest, but she lost all her eyelashes on this eye, so she's a little bit worse for wear, but she's got like little braids and a little bow, and she's like, I think she's super cute too. And they, like the first one doesn't, but the 2 other ones come with a little stand, so I think I'm definitely taking them with me to Ireland someday. They won't go in my suitcase this time. Next time I come to Belgium, I'm going to try to come with like an empty suitcase or a half empty suitcase and just take that with me. I found a lot of like old posters from like bands I used to follow and folders full of letter paper because that was a big thing when I was in school. We exchanged letter paper, like pretty ones with like drawings and stuff on them. But that's all stuff that is not like really near and dear to me. I don't need to keep all of that. I think that's kind of it. I've been dying to do like a 90s nostalgia video where I use like a floppy disk and a cassette tape and stuff like that to do triggers with, but I'm having a really hard time finding them. I'm gonna have to buy them online, I think. I asked my dad if he still had a floppy disk somewhere, but he doesn't. And I don't know how much that costs if I buy it online because it's probably not that easy to find anymore. So I'm thinking about doing one of those. For now, this was just kind of a quick video. I really hope the drilling is not as bad as I hear it. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.